Well, it's definitely bacterial.
Okay, cool.
But I'm afraid I can't help you.
What do you mean? I don't quite understand. What do you mean you can't help?
I'm sorry, but it's bacterial, and the way antibiotics have been used, it's not going to help you, cure you, and fix you.
But you just would give him antibiotics and it's all fine then, right? Yeah.
The problem is there's been overuse of antibiotics, and it's resistant, and it's not gonna. There's nothing I can do. Sorry, but I can't do it. I can't help you.
I see.
It's just I can't. I'm so sorry.
Okay.
Well, it's definitely bacterial.
Okay, great. So you know what it is, yeah.
Well, it's one problem. I cannot help you.
But what do you mean? I mean, what about antibiotics?
They're not going to help. No good.
Well, how come?
Too much overuse. Hey, people been overusing them, over prescribing. Bacteria just loves them now. Thrive on them. Yeah, I'm sorry, but they just don't work. They just cannot work because it's just too much. They're just fed on them. The bacteria just gobbles them up, and you just feed. You might as well make them as super bugs, and that's it. I'm sorry, I can't do much more. Sorry.
Well, it's definitely bacterial.
Great. So I guess antibiotics.
I'm afraid I can't really help you.
How do you mean? I mean, you're a doctor. We've been to antibiotics here before.
I'm sorry, but antibiotics just don't work anymore.
Well, don't work. How do you mean?
I'm sorry.
Ah, okay. So there's no other doctor I can go to. It's
I'm sorry, I'm afraid they just don't work.
wow.
I realise what this means.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Well, yeah.
It's definitely bacterial.
Bacterial, like an infection. Okay, so antibiotics.
I'm afraid that there's nothing that I can do to help you, really.
Prescribe antibiotics. Yeah.
I'm sorry, but they don't work anymore.
Don't work. What?
You heard surely about the news. They don't work anymore. Else I'm very sorry.
I see.
I am sorry, but really there's nothing I can do. I realise what this means. And,
Wow. Okay. Well, it's definitely bacterial.
Okay.
So, but unfortunately, there's not much I can do to help with that.
What about antibiotics?
Oh, look, interesting. Antibiotics don't actually work anymore.
What do you mean they don't work?
Well, they used to, but the world has kind of overused them, and the bacteria built up a resistance to them. Now we've got nothing that we can treat Jason with. I'm really sorry.
There must be something that you can do.
No, I think we should all pray, really. Sorry. Well, it's a bacteria. It's a
Okay.
bacterial infection, so
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
I mean, that's the good news is we know what it is. The bad news, I'm afraid, is that there's actually nothing I can do to help with that.
What about antibiotics?
Look, I'm sorry, they don't work anymore. It's kind of a recent thing, but antibiotics, they just don't work anymore.
What do you? Sorry, what do you mean they don't work anymore?
Well,
They're antibiotics.
I know they've been around for a long time and they've kind of been the saviour of many things, but the world has kind of overused them, and we seem to have built up a resistance, and they just don't work.
But there must be some that work, surely.
I'm sorry. There's nothing I can do. Sorry. Awesome.
So it's definitely bacterial,
Okay.
but I'm afraid I can't really help.
What do you mean? What bacterial? Wouldn't you give us antibiotics for that?
I'm sorry, they don't work anymore.
Don't work. What do you mean?
I'm so sorry.
Right.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. Okay. So there's nothing else we can do. Nothing. If I went to another doctor, he's not going to give them to me.
Unfortunately, antibiotics now are not working anymore. They've run their course for overuse and for various reasons.
Wow. Okay.
Well, it's definitely bacterial,
Okay.
but I'm afraid I can't really help.
If it's bacterial, wouldn't you give him antibiotics?
I'm sorry. They don't work anymore.
What do you mean? They don't work? We can't get them? They've run out, or?
Oh no, they've run their course. They've been overused and various things. I'm so sorry.
Wow. That is big news. Okay. I'll call the funeral home then.
I'm sorry.
Wow.
Well, it's definitely bacterial.
Okay, bacterial. So I guess what, antibiotics?
I can't really help you much.
How do you mean?
I'm sorry. But they're not really going to work anymore for it.
But we've always used them for infection and stuff like that. And
I'm so sorry.
okay. Jeez. Oh, wow.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
Well, it's definitely bacterial.
Okay, bacterial. So I guess what, antibiotics?
I can't really do much to help you.
What do you mean?
Well, I'm sorry, but they don't work anymore.
Okay, antibiotics, what, they have lost their effectiveness? They don't work as a drug anymore? Or?
I'm so sorry.
God.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Wow. Okay, Jason, well, let's go. Hope for the best.
Okay. Well, it's definitely bacterial.
Bacterial, okay, so I guess infection, what, antibiotics?
I'm afraid that I can't really help you.
What, you can't prescribe them, or
They just don't work.
antibiotics? They're not effective, they don't work anymore.
I'm so sorry.
God, that's shocking. So what do we do?
I can't help you.
My God.
Well, it's definitely bacterial.
Okay, bacterial. So antibiotics for that one?
But I'm afraid I can't help.
How do you mean you can't help?
Well, they just don't work.
Do the antibiotics, the drugs don't work.
That's right.
They've always worked. I mean, what's happened there?
They simply stopped being effective. I'm sorry.
Oh my God. So there's nothing we can do. Wow.
Well, it's definitely bacterial.
Okay, good. So I guess antibiotics.
Look, unfortunately, antibiotics, they don't work anymore.
The drug antibiotics, they don't kill infections.
No, unfortunately, they've lost their effectiveness, so we can't actually do anything in this situation.
But it's just a cut on a hand. I mean, there's nothing we can do.
Look, your son has acquired a very serious infection, and previously we would have treated it with antibiotics, but unfortunately they've lost their efficacy, which means we're unable to treat his condition.
Wow. Okay.
Look, I'm sure you're keen to hear the results. The tests show that it's definitely bacterial.
Bacterial. Okay. So infection, antibiotics.
Look, I'm afraid I can't really help.
Sorry, I'm a bit confused. You can't help? Or,
Look,
you could prescribe antibiotics?
Look, previously we would have. Perhaps you haven't heard, but I kind of assumed it was fairly common knowledge. But what's happened recently is that antibiotics have lost their effectiveness. So perhaps it was remiss of me to assume that you knew that, but
Wow.
they don't work anymore. So I really wish there was something I could do to help.
So what's the backup plan? What do we do?
There's actually nothing we can do. So
Wow.
I'm really sorry.
Jeez. And okay, so yeah, I can see it's a bacterial infection.
Okay.
Yeah. So the only downside with this is there's not really much we can do for this anymore. So I don't really have any drugs for that.
What about antibiotics?
Yeah, antibiotics, yeah, I mean that's the thing with them, they don't work anymore. It's a recent thing that they've lost their effectiveness, so we don't really have those as an option anymore. So unfortunately, I can't offer you anything.
But
I know it's hard news. We can just hope for the best, really, for Jason. Yeah, so it used to be, something that we all took for granted, but now it's we just cross that one off the list. Hopefully they'll come up with something new soon. Yeah.
there's nothing?
No, I mean that's about it, really. So sorry. Okay, yeah, I've got the results here. It's a bacterial infection.
Okay.
The bad news is that there's nothing I can give you that'll sort of help or work on it.
What about antibiotics?
I mean, they used to work, but this is a new phenomenon. It's only just sort of came to light. Is that they don't work anymore. I mean, it used to be a wonder drug, but we don't have that option anymore.
But
I'm sorry, there's nothing I can do. Normally I have all the answers, but this time I don't. So, yeah, just hope for the best.
nothing?
Sorry, there's nothing I can do. Okay, I can see what the results are. Yeah, it's a bacterial infection.
Okay.
Now, the bad news is that unfortunately, I've got nothing to treat it with. There's nothing I can do for it.
What about antibiotics?
Look, once we used to use those, but now they're obsolete. They've kind of, through worldwide resistance, they've lost their power. So we just haven't got that option anymore.
What do you mean? There's nothing?
No, I mean there's no backup for it either. So bacterial infections, that's bad news now. I'm really sorry about that. But normally I've got all the answers, but in this case I don't. I mean, just stay warm. And,
There must be something.
yeah. They're working on it. I mean, I really hope that they come up with something soon, but today I've got nothing, unfortunately.
Well, what does that mean for my son?
I'm sorry. I'm really sorry.
You're sorry?
It's all I've got. It's all I've got. Okay, well I've got the results here. Yeah, so look, it's a bacterial infection.
Okay.
But unfortunately, I can't do anything about it. I've got nothing to offer.
Well, isn't there some medication or antibiotics?
There were antibiotics, but they don't work anymore. So it sounds crazy. We've had them for so long. We kind of used to rely on them, you know, second nature. But
I heard about that, but I didn't think it was true. What does that mean?
they don't work anymore. They've lost their power, their efficacy.
They must work for some people still.
No, bacteria built up a resistance to them, so they just don't work anymore. So unfortunately, I've got nothing to treat Jason with today.
So what does that mean?
Look, the options are pretty minute. I mean, just keep the wound clean, and you know, I can get a nurse to look at it, and we'll clean it up and put a bandage on. But other than that,
Well, what
we're
if
going to
it
hope for the
gets
best.
infected or what?
Well,
I mean-
we just hope that that won't happen. So, yeah. Sorry about that. Sorry. Yeah, so I've got the results here. It's what I thought it was. It's a bacterial infection that Jason has.
Okay.
Yep, so, I mean, that's the news. I mean, the bad news is that I don't have anything to treat it, though, unfortunately.
What about antibiotics?
Look, that used to be something we could rely on. There was, there was an easy choice to get rid of an infection, but they don't work anymore, unbelievably. So, I'm sorry, there's nothing I've got. No, I've got nothing for infection. Yeah.
What do you mean they don't work?
It's global resistance. Bacteria built up a resistance to them all, and you know, they're working on it. There's laboratories all over the world trying to fix it, but at the moment, I'm really sorry, but I've got no answer. Normally I have all the answers, but I don't today, so sorry. So I don't know what we can do. Maybe just redress the wound and hope for the best. Yeah. So yeah. Well, Juliet, yeah, I've got the results here. It is what I thought. It's a bacterial infection.
Okay.
I mean, normally that would be kind of good news because we could fix it, but I'm sorry to say that we there's nothing I've got to treat it anymore.
What about antibiotics?
It used to be the way to go, but they don't work anymore, unfortunately. They've lost their efficacy as a drug, so yeah. Used to be something we took for granted, but now they're just not an option anymore, which is astounding, but true.
I can't believe it. You're telling me that antibiotics won't work?
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. I can't believe it myself, but until they come up with another solution, we're kind of back to the dark ages. So
What am I going to do?
we'll just, look after the wound, keep it clean and plenty of rest, and hopefully the infection, just like the old days, the infection might kind of vanish. So we'll keep our fingers crossed. Yeah, so sorry about that. I can see what the results are, and it's a bacterial infection.
Okay.
Now the bad news is, unfortunately, I don't have anything to treat him with anymore.
Well, but what about antibiotics?
Look, I mean, that used to be the way to go. I mean, that would be my obvious first choice, but they don't work anymore.
What do you mean they don't work?
There's this thing called global resistance that's been building up over the last few years, where the bugs have become so powerful and strong that antibiotics don't kill the bacteria anymore, the bad bacteria. So we've got nothing to treat Jason with. I'm terribly sorry.
But
Normally I have all the answers, but in this particular case, there's nothing I can do. They're working on it around the world, and we all have our fingers crossed, and we're all praying that there's a new solution. But antibiotics are a thing of the past now.
what am I supposed to do?
Yeah, good question. I think we'll just get the nurse in, we'll clean the wound, stay at home, and we'll just hope for the best. That's all we have left, unfortunately. Yeah,
I can't believe this.
yeah, it's a biggie. It's a biggie. Yeah. Right, Emily, I do have the results, and it's not great. Well, it's a bacterial infection, which ordinarily wouldn't be so bad, but I have nothing to treat it with. Look, here's the results. Bacterial infection, but unfortunately, I've got nothing to treat it with. I can't offer you anything.
But what about antibiotics?
Look, they don't work anymore. It's as incredulous as it sounds. Their efficacy has just kind of vanished. They don't work as a drug anymore.
Hang on. What do you mean they don't work?
There's been this overuse, misuse of antibiotics, and superbugs have now overtaken their power, and they don't work anymore. So, unfortunately, I'm very sorry, there's nothing I can do.
But he needs something. He needs some sort of help. Aren't you going to do anything?
Well, there's nothing I can do. Normally I have all the answers. I'm a doctor. I'm supposed to have the answers, but in this particular case, there's nothing available. I'm terribly sorry. Yeah.
What am I supposed to do?
I know. Yeah, it's a toughie. It's a biggie. Great.
Yes, well, it definitely is bacterial,
Okay.
but I'm afraid I can't really help.
Sorry, I'm a bit confused about that. So bacterial antibiotics, wouldn't that help?
Well, they don't really work anymore. I'm
How
sorry.
do you mean they don't work?
I'm very sorry.
Okay. Wow. So, is there anything else I can use?
No, there isn't.
No. Wow.
Sorry.
Jeez. So what, have they run out, or do they just not work as a drug, or?
They're just not available anymore, I'm
Yeah.
afraid, and that's really it. That's about all there is to it.
Wow.
I'm very, very sorry.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, normally you guys have all the answers, but I guess...
Not always. Sometimes, unfortunately,
Yeah,
there
yeah.
really is nothing we can do.
Yeah, wow. Okay. Oh.
Hi, how are you today?
Oh, yeah, not bad. Yeah, I was worried about Jason here, but...
Yes, well, we did. We got the results.
Okay.
We got them here, and it definitely is bacterial.
Okay, well, I guess that's the good news, and we know what it is. So, great.
Yeah, but it is bacterial, so I'm afraid I won't be able to help.
Hang on, I'm a bit confused there. Don't we just
Haven't you-
antibiotics for that sort of
Oh,
thing?
haven't you heard?
No?
We sent out the bulletin to everyone last week.
Right.
Yeah, they don't work anymore.
Antibiotics?
They don't work anymore. So
Wow.
I'm
Really?
I'm very sorry.
So what does that mean? What's the other option then for helping with the bacterial infection?
I'm afraid there is no other option. We won't be able to do anything for your son. I'm very sorry.
Wow. Wow, that is shocking news.
Yeah.
God.
Yeah, we did. We sent out the bulletin last week. Sorry, we thought everyone knew. Yeah, that's just the way it's going to be from now on. There's nothing more we can do.
So they're working on it? Will there be a solution anytime soon, do you know? Or?
I doubt it very much. I'd say it'll be later rather than sooner.
Wow.
Yeah, that's
Okay,
the way it is.
So I've got the results here. It's just what I thought actually. It's a bacterial infection.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Now look, the bad news is I don't have any available drugs to treat it.
What about antibiotics?
Look, that's the thing. They've become obsolete recently. They don't work anymore.
What do you mean they don't work?
Well, these bugs, these super bugs around the world have built up a resistance to them, and you know they're more powerful than the antibiotics now, so they don't work.
But my son.
I haven't got anything. Normally I'm the guy with all the answers, but in this particular case, you know, I got nothing to offer. So I'm sorry, I really am. Yeah. Look, the best we can do is patch him up, clean it up, and send him home, keep him warm. You know, hope for the best.
Nothing else?
That's about it. I do have the results here, and bacterial infection.
Okay.
So, yeah. Unfortunately, the bad news is I don't have anything that I can give you to treat it.
What about antibiotics?
Unfortunately, they don't work anymore. There's international sort of superbugs that build up this massive resistance, and they've rendered them inefficient, or they don't have any efficacy, the antibiotics anymore.
Right.
Yeah, so I've got nothing to offer.
What am I going to do?
I don't know, we'll just have to hope for the best, you know. I mean, the labs around the world are working on, you know, the next thing, but I don't know when that's going to happen, so we'll just have to hope for the best.
How can we treat it?
Well,
without
we
that?
can't. I mean, we can clean up the wound, give him some painkillers maybe. That's not going to fight the infection, but at least he won't be in discomfort. Yeah.
Well, it's definitely bacterial. Okay, but I'm afraid I can't really help.
What about antibiotics?
I'm sorry, they don't work anymore.
What do you mean they don't work?
I'm so sorry.
But
I'm so sorry.